Hey everyone, welcome to another one question session. And today is another question about sex. Surprise, surprise. So let's get started. Kim, I love my wife dearly, but sex has always been an issue for us. I want sex all the time, and she has almost no interest in it, especially now after 8 years married and 2 small kids. I feel lucky if we have sex more than twice a month, and honestly, that's not nearly enough for me. I'm done with begging, and so my porn use has really ramped up. I pretty much use it daily now, and sometimes a couple of times a day, which I hate. But I need something, otherwise I'm thinking about sex all day and I'm miserable. I've had other women flirt and express interest in me, and I have to admit I'm more and more tempted. But I love my wife and would rather not go there. My question for you is this normal for someone who is sex deprived in his marriage, or could I possibly have a sex addiction? First of all, I want to appreciate your honesty and openness about your thoughts and feelings about your situation. I want you to start reframing your idea of approaching your wife for sex. I'm not sure how you've been approaching it. If I could hazard a guess here, I would say that you are simply asking for sex and she is refusing. Then you may ramp up your attempts and she's still shutting it down, and that's what feels like begging to you. I wonder if you've had a discussion with your wife when you didn't want to have sex, when you weren't trying to put on the moves, so that you guys could have a conversation about it. I know that once she starts to sense that's where you're going, subconsciously or consciously, she's going to start pulling away if she's used to evading sex with you and even the topic of sex. I would start with a different kind of conversation, and that conversation would look like, hey, we have different sex drives. That's normal. What's not normal is the way that we're handling it, which is that we're not talking about it. Well, it's normal, but it's not healthy. You are running from me and I'm pursuing until I get angry, and then I don't want to pursue anymore. That leaves me feeling really resentful. We need to learn how to talk about sex, even if that means bringing in another party to help us negotiate through this. And then I am wondering if your wife knows about your porn use. If she doesn't know, I think it's time for you to tell her, if you can at this point, and maybe you can't, but tell her that's how you used to cope with it, and it's a bad coping mechanism and you don't want to do it anymore, but you need to partner with her. And that's what marriage is. It's partnering, and you guys need to learn how to partner around this whole idea of no sex. Now, she may or may not be open to that, but I will tell you that a lot of women who say they don't want sex or have no interest in it don't really understand how a woman's sex drive is initiated for her. A lot of women wait to feel sexual, turned on, ready to go, and if they don't feel that, then they feel like they have no interest in sex. Women are responsive in sex, and sometimes they don't want it. I mean, I've been in situations where I didn't want it, but you have to make space to get yourself in the mood. And that means even just being approachable for it, giving yourself or allowing yourself to have an experience that will raise the blood pressure and get things moving. Sometimes that's all the willingness that you have to have, especially if your wife does enjoy sex, does have an orgasm, does get turned on after the sex starts. But what I want to address here is something else that you said. You said, I'm done begging, porn's ramped up, I use it daily, I hate doing that, but I need it. I need something, otherwise I'm thinking about sex all day and I'm miserable. I've had other women flirt and express interest in me, and I have to admit I'm more and more tempted, but I love my wife and I would rather not go there. What I want to ask you is, if you're beginning to prime yourself to make excuses or justify outside of the marriage activity for sex, if you're just even beginning to open the door there, I'm going to tell you that's a bad move. You don't need to do porn. I know that it is pleasurable and it is a release, especially if your porn is increasing and you don't want it to increase, then you're headed in dangerous territory. Again, 2 resources I want you to look at. yourbrainonporn.com and Fight the New Drug. Both are excellent resources for how to fight porn use and to understand why you want to fight it. A lot of people in this world think that porn is fine, that there's no such thing as porn addiction. I know personally that's not true because of the people I've seen who have struggled with it. I've seen it destroy lives. And to me, that's an addiction. I don't know you, and I'm not trying to make a judgment, but I'm trying to help you. And it sounds to me like you're saying, I've got a wife who doesn't want to have sex. I'm tired of begging, which could mean I don't want to talk about it anymore. She's making it hard. I don't want to deal with it. It's easier to go do porn, and people are flirting with me. And I sure don't want to have to go there. But, yeah, your wife not giving you sex does not make it okay for you to go outside of the marriage to find sex. I get a lot of men and women who get really angry about this, and they get mean. I've had a guy send me an email and tell me just recently, I'm just waiting until the kids go and then I'm out. She has no idea and I don't care, I'm out. What that tells me is he's so hurt by the rejection that he's so closed off now that he's throwing all the marriage away and feels justified in doing so. And I just don't want you to get there. You've got 2 little kids and an 8-year marriage, which is really not that old of a marriage. And learning how to talk about this and negotiate through this will serve you well throughout the rest of your life. If you guys can negotiate through this, you'll be able to get through anything, honestly. This is the one topic that couples really don't feel comfortable with navigating, and it's crucial. It will just build your muscles to create better intimacy in all the areas, whether it's emotional, physical, parenting, whatever. What your wife is doing, I'm hearing one side of it. She might have a different story if she was writing me. But it's not okay for her to put you in a sexless marriage. 2 times a month is not great. I've seen a lot worse. But it's okay for you to want sex more than that. It's okay for her to not. That's what you guys have to negotiate through, to find something that is palatable to both of you. Don't trap yourself up in this idea that if she's not prowling after you, if she's not hungry for you, and you're not treated the way some of these porn images are treating men or how you fantasize they would treat you, then it's okay for you to go somewhere else. That's not true either. Your life with your wife and your family is more than about sexual gratification. It's an important part. It should not be ignored, but don't make it all about the sex. What this tells me is your sex life is a result of bad communication, not understanding how to negotiate through things, feeling like you shouldn't have to negotiate through things. But you've got so much more here that's worth building on. You're going to have to start a different journey here and reframe the messages you're telling yourself. I love the book I just finished on men whose wives don't want to have sex. I highly recommend that you go and get that. It's on our site. Now, I will say this. You said, is it possible I have a sex addiction? It is possible. I'm not convinced yet because I need more information. But it is possible, especially if your sex life is ramping up and you're starting to justify even more sexual activity that doesn't include your wife. So, on our site, we have a link where you can go and take a sex addiction assessment. You may want to go take that assessment. You have to meet certain qualifications to be considered a true sex addict. That can answer your question about whether or not that you do truly have a sex addiction. We also have blogs on our site, and we're going to be addressing more about sex addiction here. That's it for today. I hope that helps, and I hope you guys work through this. This is important. If you have more questions, especially around sex or porn addiction, send your questions to askkim@themarriageplace.com. All right, guys, hit the like and subscribe, and we'll see you next time.